Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you to those of you here in this space today who showed up to support our young adults as they preach this morning. We welcome you at RBCC UCC, whether you are a member, a returning visitor, or a first-time visitor, whether you are here with us in person or joining us on live stream today. There is more information about RBCC, our values, and our upcoming events, which can be found on our website, rbccucc.org. We acknowledge that we gather today on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish people, past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Coast Salish people who are alive and active in this region, continuing to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage and in seeking justice and equity for their people. For those present in the space today, thank you for silencing your phones. For those at home today, you will find links to service resources in the description box of the video, including prayer and reading responses. Thank you again for showing up and being present today.
One, two. When the cries of victims go unheard in our land, and the scars of war refuse to heal, will we stand for justice to empower the weak till their bonds of oppression are no more? If we love our God with all our heart, mind, and strength, and we love our neighbors as ourselves, then this love will heal the nations of earth, and the glory of God will be revealed. Lord, renew our vision to be love where we live, to reach out in mercy to the lost. For each cup of kindness to the least in our midst is an offering of love to our world. Kyrie eleison, have mercy. Kyrie eleison, have mercy.
So this morning's Peace and Justice service, led by our Next Gen group, centers on the theme, Housing the Next Generation. Grounded in the vision of the prophet Micah, that calls us to imagine a world where everyone can dwell securely beneath their own vine and fig tree. For many millennials and Gen Z, this vision feels distant, as many face student debt, unaffordable rents, and wages that cannot sustain the cost of living. Others are displaced by discrimination and exclusion. Our Next Gen reminds us that housing is not merely a financial concern. It is a moral and spiritual matter that reveals what kind of society we are becoming and what kind of peace we are willing to build. Will you please join me in an invitation to worship and centering prayer? God of justice and peace, you call us to build a world where all are sheltered. We call on you for peace, a peace that shelters and sustains. For every young person seeking a place to belong, for every family priced out of stability. May we learn from the prophets and from one another that peace begins in the choices we make and the resources we share. May we lift our voices for fair housing and compassionate policy. For every prophet who dares to imagine a better world. May we be their companions and co-laborers. Come, Spirit of wisdom. Come, builder of hope. Let us worship God together. I invite you to be in the spirit of prayer. Holy One, you are the ground of our being. As we gather today, open our hearts to hear both the ancient prophecy of Micah and the modern prophetic voices of the next generation. Let our worship be not just words, but a call to action, a planting of hope that will grow and create safe spaces for everyone in God's kingdom. Amen. So the prophet Micah dreamed of a world where everyone could live in safety and in peace. As we share the peace of Christ with each other today, may it be more than a greeting. May it be a promise to help create the kind of world we want together. We are each invited to greet each other with the peace of Christ by saying, "The peace of Christ be with you and also with you." Go!
We will sing together from the music insert, All Are Welcome. We will do verses 1 and 5, and you are invited to rise as you are able in your heart, mind, and or body as we sing together.
Your order of worship says that Sarah Haycox is going to speak right now. She texted this morning sick with no voice, but she sent what she was going to say. And so I invited a confirmation mentor, Tina Littleton, to read it on Sarah's behalf. We approached this as a group, and different young people had different prompts they considered. Sarah's prompt that she approached was, how do feelings of frustration and lack of control over one's housing situation impact mental well-being?
And Sarah, we hope you feel better so soon, and your perspective is always valuable. So picture Sarah, and these are her words. When I was doing a summer course this year about finances, I was tasked with creating a budget that I might use post-graduation from college. The assignment was to choose a profession we were interested in and budget based on our starting salary. We could then see if we were saving enough each month for stable retirement. In my budget, where I was a public interest lawyer, yes, one of the career paths I'm potentially interested in, I could barely afford a one-bedroom apartment and had to be very frugal to stay on track financially. Part of the reason my budget was so tight was because I was saving up for a down payment on a house down the line. My goal was to have a 2-bedroom house for my future family by the time I was 35, which was 10 years of saving after this simulation. When I ran the numbers, the only house I could make a recommended down payment on while still being on the right trajectory for retirement was a small sailboat on Lake Union I found on Zillow. I was shocked, frustrated, and disappointed, to say the least. I didn't understand. I was going to work hard in college and law school, work hard in a stable and well-respected job as a lawyer, yet still it wouldn't be enough for me to have the control to live where I wanted. I've been a bit anxious about my future ever since that class. I've wondered if it would be better for me to go into corporate or private practice law because it makes more money, even though that isn't my dream. I've worried about if I'll have to move to a more rural area or a red state in order to afford the housing I want. This experience has impacted my mental health in the last few months as I feel anxious, scared, and insecure about my future. Our society has trained us to believe that housing is something pretty much within our control. The whole pull yourself by the bootstraps myth is one deeply ingrained in our culture. It's meant to put the burden on individuals to be responsible for their basic needs instead of challenging the systems that create difficulties in accessing those needs. I've heard many people label the unhoused population in Seattle as lazy, either explicitly or inferred, which only reinforces this notion. This, in turn, contributes to feelings of shame or inadequacy if one isn't able to choose their housing situation, even if the situation is out of their control or they face systemic barriers. The reality is that you can work as hard as you can and save up, but in this day and age, sometimes it simply isn't enough to have agency over your housing situation. And with the expectation our individualist culture places on young people, not only can that be infuriating, but it can also be degrading and take a toll on the mental health and self-image of our youth. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Tina. Our scripture reading today is a prophetic visionary poem. It was written in the 8th century during a period of intense political instability, social injustice, and looming threat of a power-hungry empire. The prophet Micah imagines a different kind of world, one marked by peace and equity and human flourishing. His vision uses familiar symbols from daily life, vines and fig trees, both sources of food, shade, and livelihood. For the people of his time, these images spoke of stability and dignity, and having enough and belonging somewhere secure. It is a vision of safety, of abundance shared, and of communities rooted not in fear, but in peace. from the book of the prophet Micah, chapter 4, verses 1 through 4 from the New Revised Standard Version. In the days to come, the mountain of the Lord's temple shall be established as the highest of the mountains and shall be raised above the hills. People shall stream to it. Peoples and nations will come by and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall come forth instruction and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between many peoples and shall arbitrate between strong nations far away. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But they shall all sit under their own vines and under their own fig trees, and no one shall make them afraid. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken." Here ends the reading. I would like to introduce Margaret Stubbs and Aaron McCracken. The prompt they both considered was, think about your friends and family. Do you know anyone who has struggled to find affordable housing or faced instability? What was their or your own experience like, or future telling may be?
Hello. So the prompt was, do you know anyone who has struggled to find housing affordability or is facing housing instability? The answer is clearly simple. Us, young people. That is the answer. I want to focus exclusively on the home buying aspect. I'm not talking about renting, because that's a whole different issue. I'm talking about the actual buying of homes. The way people see renting is that it's a short-term thing that will then lead to home buying. That's been one of the cornerstones of the American dream, home buying, rent to own. Let me set a scenario. This is a 2-bedroom house, clearly a starter home. It's tiny. It smelled of smoke from the previous owner, who smoked like crazy in the house. There were termites in the foundation running it. No sidewalks, no fence, a poorly rated elementary school, higher than normal crime rates. The list continues. If I was to purchase that house in today's dollars, what would I pay? I'm going to give you guys some options. Raise your hand if you think $100,000. I'm not talking about just here in Seattle, just in general. Would you think $100,000? $150,000? How about the outrageous $200,000? The answer was $260,000 for that really horrific house. And that was just a starter home. More than $250,000 to live in that ridiculous home. That was my childhood home. It was absolutely ridiculous. My dad can attest to that. It was absolutely horrific. I did my research on my own personal finances just like Sarah did. I work 40 hours a week, and I can tell you I am not lazy in that perspective. I have a 1 hour and 10-minute commute, and I live with my fiance in downtown Seattle, but I want to focus on my life without him in the picture, just me, myself. I have epilepsy, and I am extremely conscious about my health care, my medical bills, and my medicine. My medicine without health care costs me around $4,000 a month. With health insurance, it's only $20. Oh, and I also cannot drive at the moment, so home buying options just got a lot smaller. I can do Uber and Lyft, to work and all that. But I work at the airport. Uber and Lyft have surcharged their fares for the airport area. And I Googled it, or used the apps to find out how much it is. $120 a day Lyft commute, that's back and forth, $60 just to the airport, and that's talking about there and back. 5 times a week doing that is not happening if I'm to purchase a house. It's absolutely not, no. In effect, I cannot afford anything higher than that $260,000 termite-ridden, noise-pollutant, shoebox-sized, I don't want to swear, but it was absolutely ridiculous of a house. I might as well then rent for the rest of my life then. Then the concept of home buying becomes irrelevant. This is what we as young adults are facing in home buying terms. This is what I am facing as a young adult in home buying. If I wanted to stay connected to my community, stay connected with you as a church, I simply cannot afford it. We cannot afford what you have. When I leave this pulpit, ponder this message. Young adults could have taken this time to talk about any issue. Why affordable housing? Thank you.
Hi. For those of you who don't know, this is my senior year of high school, which means I'm kind of facing what all high school seniors dread of college applications. On Friday, I made my first action towards the future, and I submitted my first college application for UW. Kind of submitting that, I started thinking, okay, if I go to college here, locally in Seattle, I really want to live in this area, but especially the Seattle area. I would not be able to afford to, just at all. I want to become a teacher, and despite Washington isn't a great place to be a teacher, I cannot afford on a teacher's salary to live anywhere though. And it's just kind of that fear to the future that kind of led me to want to speak in this service of, as someone who has yet to face any sort of issue with having to pay for housing, but having to look towards the future in this world of someday, and when that day comes, will I be able to? I am definitely privileged when I compare myself to my friends. I have money set aside for college. My parents are willing to let me live with them if I can't afford to live anywhere. Some of my friends don't have that. My best friend has no money for college, and she is terrified. Another one of my close friends right now is having to pay for their phone bill because their parents can't afford it. And even with that privilege, I'm still terrified because I'm not privileged enough to be able to have that kind of, I guess, future that a lot of you guys did when you were younger, where on salaries like a teacher salary, you could buy a house. You could buy it young and have a house, your whole life. I'm looking to a future where I'm gonna be living in again, like Erin, I don't want to swear, but a really, really bad apartment with 4 roommates. And I didn't realize you were supposed to write any scripts. I'm kind of speaking from my heart, but I am just, as a young adult, terrified. And I don't know how to say this. I want to fix this for people my age, but I don't know what to do because I can't do anything because I don't have any money to donate because all that money is me going towards rent or buying a house, and I'm gonna have to be saving my whole life, and I might be working till I'm 80 on a teacher's salary. And it's a really scary future for us youth and young adults. And I guess I want you guys to consider that as older people who, maybe didn't have that fear when you were younger. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce Madison. Madison's chosen prompt this morning was, as a faith community, we believe that every person has inherent dignity. How does having a stable place to live restore a person's sense of dignity and humanness?
Good morning. When I think about dignity, I think about what it means to be human and whole, and I think about how hard it is to feel that way when you don't have control over where and how you live. Dignity is tied to freedom, to autonomy. It's the ability to make choices about your own life and your own space, your own future. And it is the fundamental, undeniable worth of every human being, irrespective of background or circumstance. I am 25. I live at home right now, not because I want to necessarily, but because I can't afford not to. And I know I'm not alone in that. Most of my friends, people my age, people who work full-time, people with degrees are in the same exact situation. They're living with parents or splitting a one-bedroom apartment with roommates or moving farther and farther out of the city or even the state just to find something remotely affordable. And I believe that housing isn't just a physical commodity, it's tied to your sense of worth. And I think that's something my generation understands very deeply, because we grew up being told that if we went to college, that if we worked hard to get a job and followed the rules, we'd be able to have a stable life, because that's the American dream, isn't it? We're working hard, we're climbing the ladder, doing everything that we are told we're supposed to do, and it's still not enough to earn independence. We watch as housing costs ride faster than our own paychecks, and we earn a living, but that barely covers the cost of living. And I think about that phrase, to earn a living, and that proves my exact point, because it implies that simply existing with dignity requires proof of worth. It suggests that being able to live comfortably is something we have to work for, something to be deserved, rather than a basic right. And when people can't afford a home, the message they internalize is, you must not be working hard enough. This isn't just about personal failure. It's about decades of policy decisions that have prioritized profit over people. It's about a housing market that treats homes as investments instead of necessities. I know that this has taken a toll on me personally. It's caused a lot of anxiety and anger, a feeling that my own autonomy has been stripped away. Again, I'm 25, sometimes it feels like I never even had a chance. I've grown up living in a multi-generational housing situation my entire life, so I am no stranger to what it feels like to live together in order to make living easier. I graduated high school in 2018, and over a year later, the pandemic hit. I turned 21 while isolated at home, and my life was on pause before I even had a chance to begin. And since then, I've built a career that I'm very proud of. I've worked at the same nonprofit organization for 5 years, growing through 4 different positions, doing everything that was expected of me in order to earn the right to live on my own. And yet that sense of being stuck, of working hard and feeling like you're getting nowhere sticks, and it's exhausting. I am the program director of North Seattle Boys and Girls Club, and I see what stability or instability does for kids every single day. When a child doesn't know where they'll sleep at night, it affects everything. It affects their focus, their emotions, their ability to believe that tomorrow will be better. But when they feel safe and supported, even for a few hours after school, they start to laugh again. They start to be kids again, and that's dignity in action. I believe that restoring dignity through housing is about justice, not about charity. And my hope as a young person of faith is that we keep imagining and working toward a world where having the journey to have a home is seen as upward trajectory and not a dead end, where everyone can breathe deeply, rest safely, and live fully, knowing they are seen and valued. Thank you.
We're going to pray now. I'm going to invite all the next gen up. We're going to share in this litany together. I'm going to invite Chris up to help share in this litany. We're all going to take our turn. This litany was written out of the idea that we can name hurt and hold gratitude in the same place. And your response as a congregation is let our gratitude grow into justice in action after each young person's phrase. So please be with us and together in the spirit of prayer. God of every generation, we come before you holding both the ache of inequity and the hopes of the next generation. We name the weight of student debt, and we give thanks for those who help us carry it.
We name the scarcity of affordable housing, and we give thanks for communities imagining new ways to share space.
We name the fear of not being able to build a future, and we give thanks for families, mentors, and friends who help us plant our roots.
We name the injustice of wages that do not match the cost of living, and we give thanks to movements and leaders working for equity and change.
We name the pain of those rejected or unhoused because of who they are, and we give thanks for every home, church, and heart that chooses welcome over fear.
We name the exhaustion of navigating systems that do not represent everyone, and we give thanks for the persistence of hope that refuses to give up.
I invite you to take a deep breath, hold all the gratitude, and be in the spirit of prayer. Holy One, you dream of a world where all people can live without fear, where each life is honored with safety, with dignity, and with rest. Root us in that vision of peace. Help us nurture with healing right where we are, until every person finds belonging and every soul knows that they are cared for. Amen.
We'll sing in response to our prayers, our prayer response song, which is at the bottom of your first page of the music insert. You may remain seated. We'll sing it twice through. Open our days, open our nights, to see the way and the truth and the life. Open our days, open our nights, to see the way and the truth and the life.
Patrick now. Patrick chose the prompt of what is one concrete thing churches or faith communities can be inspired and motivated to do from the new awareness and understanding brought forth by our next gen today.
Hi, I'm Patrick here. I wanted to, obviously we've talked about a lot of our experiences and everyone knows this, that the prices of housing keeps on going up. But like at some point, we gotta stop admiring the problem and figure out what we wanna do about it. One concrete thing that a lot of evidence has suggested is that is driving a lot of this skyrocketing housing is the policy of exclusionary zoning, of restrictions on what can be built and where, and like how much land, if you look at a zoning map, even of a shoreline, is single family zoning only. and and all the economic white papers I've been like reading over the years, of just more, to be more honest, just seeing links citing them on social media, but there's still, the people actually have done the research, even if I don't fully have the economic understanding of it. Like, it does say that when you restrict the supply of housing, it becomes a landlord's market, and which is why they are able to charge the high rents they are. And then the knock-on effects is like, when you have so much single-family zoning, then you have like also like less revenue to fund like public social housing. Even though like for a lot of low-income people, like market rate housing won't ever solve the problem for them, even without the restriction zoning, it will provide a path forward for there to be more money for housing everyone. And also, so what can we do? We can we have a city council, we have a voice, there's like however many people, like depends on 40 to 100 who's ever active or whatnot in this church. And if each of us like commits to like raising awareness of the community, like talking to their neighbors, like attending city council meetings, and slowly we can get like the housing policy when like we can actually welcome in new people as like to our neighborhood, as Jesus has taught us to do, and we can build a community where trans people fleeing persecution in red states can come here, where people can here like struggling in poverty can actually climb out of homelessness and like have a path forward, and instead of being priced out or like being on really long waiting lists for social housing, because it's like there's so not enough funding from like not enough of a taxpayer base, and we can have shorter commutes and live our environmental justice values, and it's just all connected like a great web of like this problem causes so many issues in these so many different areas, and to truly live the radical welcome that Jesus invited to, we have to look to actually building a place for people to be welcome to. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. This is a passionate issue for Patrick, and it was something that was brought up in a Peace and Justice meeting with our Next Gen. So thank you for taking us in this direction, Patrick. And I'm going to invite David Donna forward for the stewardship moment.
I am always grateful for the chance to take a moment and sort of remind myself again about the importance of our thoughtful and vigorous stewardship of this church and its mission, because that's what I heard today. We all want to see peace, respect, and love in action. We want to see it manifesting itself all around us. But what today's message reminds us, and actually I think even the news of the day teaches us, is that can't happen if we don't individually and as a congregation and really as a whole community sort of pick up the laboring oar and ensure that the most basic of human needs, food and shelter, are being met in the folks and the people around us. Pearl S. Buck had a great line which has always come back to me. A hungry man can't see right or wrong. He just sees food. Now, given my sort of pampered upbringing, we'll just say good fortune, I have not known a lot of hunger in my life, as you can probably tell. The only time I can ever remember is actually trying to have to make weight, 132 pounds in high school, for wrestling. inglorious and short career. But other than that, haven't spent a lot of time on that bottom rung. So one of the most important and insightful lessons I got in life was from the Navy when they were trying to teach 20-somethings how to motivate 18-year-old seamen to do things which no man and nowadays no woman should often be asked to do. So what that was the hierarchy of needs, and I'm sure you've seen this somewhere along the way, developed by a psychiatrist named Maslow back in the 40s, co-opted by the economists and the business people, and turned from a hierarchy into a triangle. So that you can know where the priorities are and what's the most important. And on the bottom is the physiological needs that we all need to meet every day: food, shelter, air, water, those basic needs. And then it builds from there. After that, safety, a safe place to live. It's not enough to just have a home, but you have to have a home in a place that's reasonable, that's safe, and that you can feel positive in. And once you have those, then things can hopefully blossom into love, belonging, community, family, a sense of well-being, and dream of all dreams. You get to the top of the pyramid, and you're like fully self-actualized. But what this reminded me of, it came back to me in hearing all of this discussion about shelter and how critical that is to the base level. As our next generation friends have told us, Sarah sort of outlined exactly how that lack of control about her future and what decisions she's going to make affects her mental well-being. Aaron similarly described how it's a really personal effect, and those limitations really frustrate your ability to move forward. Maggie outlined how it's going to play out in her decisions going forward and how it's going to affect what she's able to do. But what I heard in those three were really the essence of the first element of our motto: peace. It's how we all find peace. We have to have that individual building block in our life to get peace. It was Madison's discussion about how a stable place is really fundamental to your personal sense of dignity, to that sense of humanness. That's respect. That's your ability to feel respect and feel that back and forth in each other. And then ultimately, Patrick has outlined how we put love in action. That there are places where we have a need that we can go and put our efforts, our time, and our talents into making sure that those around us can meet and have those things. So I hear it all echoing really clearly, both in what the young people have said today and in the choir's anthem today too. Had a couple of very good lines in there, but in the end, it's the church where love lives. And this church, I think, is the best conduit by which we can help those around us meet all the basic things on the bottom of that pyramid: food, shelter, clean air and water sort of go with it all, and then move up from there. And so it's through your generous support of this institution, I think, that we all are able to sort of move our way up the big pyramid. So by feeding the hungry, by providing shelter to the unhoused, we work on those first levels. By being here together, we provide friendship and community to each other, and we allow each other to show respect to ourselves and to others. And ultimately, this church fosters personal growth, moral development, and dare I say, at the top of the pyramid, really elements of joy, transcendence, and insight into the human condition and why we're all here. There's no better way to get to the top of the pyramid than to support this institution, which I will ask you to do robustly, particularly in this time of stewardship. There are a number of different ways in which you can support this institution, including visiting the website to give, the code in the back. I wrote a check the other day. That was fun and exciting. It took me back to an old time. So there's lots of different ways to do it. I encourage you to do it. And don't forget that next week, I believe, is Pledge Sunday, so bring those cards back and think big. Okay?
We have another song to sing together. This is Draw the Circle Wide, which you will find on the back side of the insert in your music bulletin. I invite you to rise as you are able. The lyrics will also be on the screen. Yes, and let us sing robustly as well. I was gonna, yeah. 1, 2, ready. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. God, the still point of the circle, round whom all creation turns. Nothing lost but held forever in God's gracious arms. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Let our hearts touch far horizons, so encompass great and small. Let our loving know no borders, faithful to God's call. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Let the dreams we dream be larger than we've ever dreamed before. Let the dream of Christ be in us. Open every door. Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Thank you. You may be seated.
Ooh, now we come to the opportunity to take the worshipful spirit with us as we consider the many things happening in the life of our church. Next week, drum roll please, is our settled Pastor Kevin's first Sunday with us. Hooray! Be here for worship. It is also Pledge Sunday. Thank you for bringing your pledge card that day. The CCE board also that day will host an informal chili lunch after the service. Chili and all the fixins will be provided, and we ask that you please bring cookies to share for dessert. The leftovers will all go to the Cookie Brigade stash for the RBCC recital series, equally worthy of drum roll. On November 20th, oh, there's a drum. On November 23rd, after worship, we'll be hanging the greens, so join us for some soup and a festive opportunity to decorate our space together, because many hands make light work. There's lots of ways to volunteer and have a place to find community. Please take a look at the announcements in your RBCC email on Fridays, the slides at the close of this service in your bulletin. Thank you. So I just want to give a few thank yous. I want to thank our next gen young people for speaking their truth, because just saying it out loud and acknowledging your condition is anxiety ridden. This community appreciates your voice. Thank you for being vulnerable today. Thank you to Katie and our whole music team for collaboratively relevant music this morning to go with the theme. Thank you, David Donnan, for listening and incorporating what you heard of our young people saying. And thank you all for being here to participate just by holding information in this type of worship service. Churches can be present to one another when we hold each other, even when the information we're receiving is challenging and uncomfortable. Prophets acknowledge hard truths. Prophets speak with hope, and they speak it into the future. Prophets speak growth into the future. Prophets speak collaborative relationships with God and humanity into the future. You have heard from prophets today, both ancient and new. Now, be the proof of their words. Turn prayer into policy and advocacy. Turn compassion into action, and turn faith into that fierce work of love that we can only do together as the body of Christ. Go in peace today. Go to coffee hour and talk and greet and ask questions of our young people so that you can know more. Amen.
Gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna put on my starry crown down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna put on my starry crown down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. You know it, sing along. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 I ain't gonna study war no more.
Oh,
Excuse me, but I cannot.
That's much too high for you, my friend.
Yes, you know, there's this. I couldn't not speak to you. My dad would be 102 right now. He was in the World War II, and he was in a very dangerous place, unusually dangerous. I'll go into detail. But he was part of what they called the greatest generation. But he told me that they were the luckiest ones, and he worried about the people coming. I think about him every day with what's going on right now and what you're facing. I wanted you to know if it was an older person who really cared.
Amen.
Breathe, go in peace. Downstairs, talk amongst yourselves, talk to our young people.
I mean to tell you that, so I rehearsed with Luke, who plays the bassoon. Has he gotten his bio and headshot to you, by the way? I was thinking probably not.
I honestly can't recall. Someone has, and I'm not sure if it's Luke or
Adrian did.
Okay, then Luke has not yet. But I also have been way behind on doing things like answering questions and getting ready for this recital series of the cabaret. But it's my plan to do a lot of reaching out tomorrow.
So, turns out, like, even though Luke is a fantastic bassoon player who plays in the symphony, playing the bassoon is real hard and takes a lot of stamina that he hasn't been cultivating.
Oh,
So he doesn't want to play 20 minutes. He wants to play like 10 minutes.
okay.
So I was gonna fill in with a little piece, a Rebecca Clark piece with Leah and Nathan.
Great.
So once we do that,
So we'll do extra